Okay, so we are going to continue on our Pantheon today. I will have this handout that's going to help us kind of remember what to do on each step. And then the final step, you'll have this sheet, and it gives you some ideas of some details you can add to it, and we'll just be using like black regular marker, okay? So last week, we added the 3 steps. We added this like house shape. We have a rectangle here. Then we had a half semicircle right above it. If you still need to do one of these steps, or maybe you just need to glue them down, you're gonna do that first, okay? But once you're here, then we're going to make it this part right here, and then these columns down here. So this is called the frieze. And then these are the columns. And then there's another little bottom portion of the columns there. So all we're gonna need are strips for this project starting now. So we're gonna have our project, we're gonna have our glue for our table, and then our little glue stick here. And then of course you're gonna need scissors and a pencil today. So first step, we're going to add the frieze. So it says cut and glue a strip of paper so that it rests over the tops of the columns. This is where the triangle meets the square. So I already chose a paper, so it's gonna be right there. So we're gonna glue it right there, but the first thing I wanna do, I'm gonna set it there. That's where the triangle meets the square, but it's a little long. So I'm gonna draw a little line right there, and then I'm gonna cut this piece off. Oops, there we go. So now, it's not perfect, that's okay. I'm gonna take my glue. Remember, some of you are still big globs of glue. That is not necessary. You just dip it in there, and then you're gonna smear it. And I kind of go one side and then the other. Then dip it in there, one side and the other. You don't need a lot of glue. Okay, it should be mostly clear. Then you're gonna place it where the triangle meets the rectangle, and then rub it on. Press it and give it a good 10 seconds or so, okay? Then it says next, now cut out the columns that hold the building up. Cut 5 strips for the columns. So I have 5 strips here. Maybe you only want to cut 4, okay? And that's fine. It kind of depends on how big yours is. So I'd say 4 or 5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this here. So that's 1. And I'm gonna draw a line at the bottom, okay? And I'm gonna cut this. So I'm gonna use this one as a base for all of them. So I'm gonna take that same strip, line it up to the edge, and I could draw a line, or I'm just gonna look at it and just say, there's the cut. This I'm gonna save, that's perfectly good. And then I'm gonna do another one, making sure it's all lined up. Cut that. And one more. Let's see what 4 looks like. I may add a 5th one, so I haven't decided yet. Let's turn it this way so I can see better. Okay, so I'm gonna arrange it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that kind of works. I could do a 5th one. 4, I'm totally fine with 4 here, okay? If I want a 5th one, I just cut it out and then I would have it. I can kind of even hold it here and see. Maybe I do want a 5th, never mind. See, I changed my mind. I'm gonna get another strip, place it on there. Come on, here we go. And then cut that off. And remember, I'm not throwing away those. So please don't take these and wad them up. No one's gonna want wadded pieces. So make sure when you take it back and you're careful with it. So I'm gonna have one in the middle, and then these are gonna be on the other side, okay? So these are the columns that are gonna hold up basically the triangle. So just like I did before, I'm gonna take this in there and kind of go like that. Do one, I'm gonna start in the middle, and place that, arrange it where I want it. Hold that down so it lays nice and flat. And I'm gonna do the outside ones next. And then put this on the very edge. I'm gonna do this edge one. Like I said, one dip, just a thin layer is all you really need. Okay, let's see. That one's a little bit longer. Come on. So I could kind of tuck it underneath here if it decides to cooperate. It's not. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it there. And then these two, I'm gonna kind of balance it in between. So put my glue on there. Kind of make sure it's even on both sides, like that. And then glue this one. Okay. So I have my freeze. Step one was the orange. I cut, it says 5 strips. I did cut 5, but 4 is fine too. And those are gonna arrange those, and that's gonna hold up the freeze. And then the last thing is we're gonna cut and glue short pieces of paper for the base of each of these columns. So they're gonna be much smaller. I said I did a little drawing there and pointed. So I'm gonna choose another color. I'm gonna choose this green. Let's see, I wanted it to be a little longer than that, so. Okay, so I could keep it this thick if I want to. I could cut it down to be like half the size, but I kind of like that thickness. So I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. So I already have one cut. So I'm gonna cut 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then once again, I'm gonna have some extra. Save that. Then I could set these on here. Okay, and then do one dip. And do 1, 2, 3. And they're gonna go right down here at the bottom of the blue ones. This would be like stability for our columns. Hold those down so they stay nice and flat. The worst thing is if you rush too much, then you don't have it fully sticking down, and then you're like frustrated because it keeps popping up. So then there's those. And when I'm finished this, I kind of wipe it off. And after these, I am done with my gluing. So if this is as far as you get today, you are good, okay? And then I can shut this. Now, if you finish your columns, everything, then you can start adding some details. So this is what you originally had. So these are kind of showing you the shapes we added. But this one gives you the details. So you can see here some lines, there's some details at the top. If you wanted to write Pantheon here, just to make it look interesting. So I'm gonna start with the columns. So maybe on my columns, I'm going to do something like this. I kind of just do a little curve up here, curve, curve, and a couple lines. I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm drawing this with my marker. I am totally fine if you want to draw it first, okay? I'd probably make mine a lot neater if I was drawing it first, but I'm totally fine with this too, okay? It's just whatever you feel comfortable. Obviously, if you do the marker like I'm doing right now, you can't erase. So if you're worried about making mistakes, I would suggest just drawing it with pencil first. I could have, with the columns, could have some lines coming down the columns. I'm gonna have one in the middle and one on other sides. So this isn't even in the picture, but I think it would be interesting. And what I'm showing you right now are just ideas. You don't have to do any of these. Then I could maybe move up to this orange section, the freeze. So maybe the freeze, I'm just gonna have little dashed lines along here. Just short little vertical lines. And then maybe in this triangle here, maybe I'm gonna draw a line on the inside of that. Ooh, I did not do my greatest straight line. Okay, maybe this one I'm gonna have little dots. So just little details, I think it just gives it a little texture. And my mistake I'm doing, kind of going around it right here. When I finish all this, yeah, maybe I'll look at my supposed mistake. Most people won't even notice. Then maybe I have this yellow area. I'm gonna turn this sideways. I'm gonna draw a couple lines. So I have a line going at the top here and the top here. See, this works much better for me when I turn my paper off to the side. And then maybe I'm gonna have some lines coming from that. Okay, and this is just giving it some detail. I'm gonna leave most of it just the color of the paper. And then this top dome part, maybe all I just wanna have are just lines going up here, lines coming down there, maybe one in the middle, and then two kind of coming up here and there, and leave it like that. Okay, so I have my Parthenon. I just added some little details, or Pantheon, sorry. I could write Pantheon in there. But if I'm finished, I like everything. I think I'm pretty good. Make sure I put this cap on and hear that click. And then I'll fill out my evaluation sheet and put it to the back. And then always double check, do you have your name and class code on it? And then you're done. So here's our Pantheon, and I'll have this hanging up for you to see.